Alpha Juliet, Gazine.
Gunnar qua.
Gunnar Alpha Juliet.
To park, we have 2 good engine start, so to disconnect all ground equipment.
Fox confirm we shall be vacating Alpha.
Down.
Roger, Seychelles 8, requesting taxi.
Seychelles 8 taxi rolling point, taxiway, Bravo.
Calling point Bravo, Seychelles 8.
Left clear.
Fox 117 to Rocket taxiway, Bravo. Taxiway Alpha.
17, Battersea Alpha, thank you and good day.
Good day to you, sir.
Hey Damien.
Seychelles 8 continues. Taxi into backtrack 431, lining up by the loop taxiway, report ready for DC clearance.
Continue taxi and backtrack runway 31, lining up by the loop taxiway. We call it back ready for DC. Seychelles 8.
Right is clear, one line. There you go. Bueno, vamos a ir, ¿eh?
Ja.
And approach Seychelles ready for DC. We have on board 2 also, and endurance 11 hours 14 minutes.
Seychelles 8, Roger, you clear to Paris Golf, flight plan route, climb plan maintains at level 350. After departure, runway 31, right and out, direct gently.
Okay, Seychelles 8 is clear to Paris Charlie Golf flight plan route, and we are requesting room flight level 310. After departure, right in turn.
Stand by for 31.
Might as well see the crew.
Clear for takeoff. The wind is 300 at 12 knots.
On up, we clear for takeoff Seychelles 8.
Rolling takeoff. Winds down the runway. Left off. In the tank 53.7.
Roger, come to Whiskey Oscar, double again to the wind. Just Roger for that one. Come on.
Just any notes? Just
Check.
E1, 14.
seatbelt Otter. Take off checks.
Renegade.
Good morning, B Seychelles 8. Short face control morning, go ahead.
So passing flight level 65 for 310.
Short face 1.
We're calling next reaching flight level 310, Seychelles 8.
We leave the African continent via Alexandria, heading for the western coastline of Italy, overflying Genoa, Milan, Geneva, and finally into Paris. The en route weather forecast is fine. Forecast for Paris supposed to be a overcast afternoon. The local time in Central Europe is 3 hours behind Seychelles. At this stage of flight, we estimate landing at 20 minutes past 5 in the evening. As we overfly any ceiling points, I'll point them out to you.
Seychelles 8 reported in Texas on 8879.
8879 and standing by for a cell phone check on 88. From Seychelles 8, cell phone is
Just check up. It's a B735.
is Michel Estico, and I happen to be one of the first officers working for Seychelles. I've been doing that job with Seychelles for 6 years, and basically I came off the Twin Otter through to the 767 and then the 757, and lately in October Seychelles just acquired a 737, and I've done the 737 training. And basically what I'll do on this flight, just give a quick description of the overhead panel of this aeroplane, which is a 767-300, and we're on a flight from Seychelles to Paris, just the goal, and the captain on the flight is Sajid Suleiman. To start off, we have the navigation panel, that is the IRS. There's 3 of them, and it's backed up by 2 GPSs. And basically, when we come on the aeroplane, we'll put a position in the gate position through on the FMC initial page, and then that would go through a technical process to make it simple, and it will align the IRSs to the most accurate position, and then we can operate from that gate through to our flight. And the next panel, a step down, is the hydraulic panels. Basically, we have 3 hydraulic systems on that aeroplane. We have 2, the right and left system are run by the engine, and we have a center system that runs on electrics. It's got 2 electric pumps and a demand pump on demand. Basically, we have 2 of these because it's the main hydraulic system on this aeroplane. Basically, it does all the high load job like the flaps extension and retraction, and the landing gear extension and retraction. And further from here, we have the electric panel, which is nicely scaled down from the old aeroplane that we've seen, like the 7 hose. We have the standby system that runs a battery, and we have the main electrical system. We have the APU, that's the auxiliary power unit that's at the back of the aeroplane. Basically, we use that when the aeroplane is on the ground. We get power for services and air conditioning parts. We have the 2 generators. These are run from the engine, and once we start the engine, it will come online automatically and supply electrical power for all services on the aeroplane. Should any of these fail, like one, the right one or the left one, we'll still have a generator that operates from the auxiliary power unit, and that can replace any of these 2 if ever they go offline. This panel is the oxygen panel. You've heard a lot about pressurization of aeroplane. If we do have any malfunction with the pressurization system that we need to give oxygen to the passengers, normally it should come out automatically. If it doesn't, we just open this switch, press, and the oxygen will be released everywhere in the cabin. And passengers will have an access to oxygen, and then we can be on oxygen as we go down. These are for the engine start. We use ground to start the engine. Now it's in automatic, and it goes continuous if we need to, and fly. These are used on non-normal conditions. These are for the nozzles for the jetty zone. We have jetty zone facilities on this aeroplane. We can jetty zone fuel from the center tank. In that case, we got 5 tons, which would take about 5 minutes to jetty zone the fuel. The fuel panel itself, we got 4 pumps. Actually, there's forward and aft supplying the right engine on the right side, forward and aft supplying the left engine on the left side, and these are the center tanks. Actually, what's happening now, the center tank fuel, they operate at a lot higher pressure than the engine fuel pumps. So this tank will deplete first, and then we'll use at full pressure the fuel from the right and left tank. Actually, as this depletes, we got a system called siphoning. Fuel goes from the center into the main tanks. Window heat, this panel, these windows are designed to take a lot of stress if you got bird strikes and things like that. So to keep the structural integrity of the windows, we keep them heated through the window heat. That's the pressurization panel. Actually, we're operating in automatic 1, meaning that one system is controlling all pressurization. We got a cabin differential pressure of 8.6 psi at that time at 31,000 feet, and the cabin is about just over 5,000 feet. And we have the air panel, what we call the pneumatics for the pressurization. Actually, you got air through from the engines, through the valves, control to the packs. These packs are called pressurization packs, and then air will be mixed and filtered and will be distributed into the cabin and on the flight deck. These are switches to control the temperatures. Actually, it's displaying 25, and we are 25 degrees C. Yeah. If I start there on the center panel, this is called the mode control panel. Basically, now we're on autopilot. As you may see, the left autopilot is in command, and through this panel we can actually fly the aeroplane from point A to point B. But as we've done from Seychelles, we put the routing, everything into a computer which is called the flight management computer, and now the autopilot and the auto throttle is handling the flight for us. Thus, the altitude, we are 31,000 feet. This displays vertical speed. That's another mode you can use either for climb or descent. That's the heading. We're heading magnetic 323, and it's in the auto mode. We can change the angles, the bank angle if we need. LNAV is basically the autopilot is tracking through the map, as you see on the bottom screen, the magenta line. That's the active route. The LNAV is tracking through the map the route of the flight. And the VNAV mode, which is the autopilot and autothrottle through the FMC, is controlling all speeds and performance of the airplane. And this is the VOR. You can select, it's in automatic. At that moment in time, the FMC is tuning its own VOR for use for the navigation. In fact, the VOR position, the DME, the distance measuring from the VOR, is used to update the position of the IRS and GPS. So as we progress through the flight, our position is constantly being updated to be as precise as possible. On the captain side, you can see the airspeed indicators. We are indicating 296 and at Mach 0.97. And the panel on the right, the upper panel, which displays speed, vertical speed, nav and command, that's the primary flight instrument. So it's got a flight director. The blue part is basically, we can say, the sky. The brown part is the ground, and the line between the two is like the horizon. Basically, we're about 3-5 degrees above the horizon. And on the left, it is speed tape. Its speed is also displayed on that. On the right-hand side, DH200 is the descent altitude as we fly approaches. That can be changed. The next panel below it, it's the HSI, we call it, the horizontal situation indicator, and that's where the map comes in. As we are now tracking 323 towards a position which is 40 east, that's a boundary point between Seychelles and between Mogadishu and Sana, and the distance is indicated 175 nautical miles. The time to that point is displayed on the right, 0848.1 Zulu. And interesting how the wind, which is a tailwind that we need on this flight, it's indicating 147 degrees at 7 knots. And further on the right, you have the altimeter, which is electrically operated. 31,000 feet is the standard pressure, 1013. The VSI, that's indicating 0. Got a clock, and this is a standby attitude indicator. Should this go failed or for any reason it doesn't work, we can still operate the aeroplane and fly on the standby attitude indicator, standby airspeed indicator, and the standby altimeter, all set to standard. This panel is the engine indication. Actually, it's a CF6 engine. Actually now the N1 is indicating 91.2, and the EGT, which is the exhaust gas temperature, that are the tailpipe of the engine, 659, and the arrows is only an indication that informations are available on the lower panel. This is basically all the engine parameters, all pressure, all temperature, all quantity, the vibration for the fan, and then we have the N2 setting, the fuel flow. Actually, at 31,000 feet, we're burning 2.7 tons per engine. And you can imagine a flight to Paris, we need some fuel there. And on that same screen, we can display what we call the status, anything to do with the dispatch of the aeroplane. And on the status, we have informations like the hydraulics, quantities and pressure, the APU, which is the oxygen power, is not operating. And we have the oxygen that is required for the crew, which are displayed. And this comes off an oxygen bottle for the crew through the diluter on the far right there, and for the captain on the far left. That's the thing with the red top going through. And that's the FMC. the flight management computer. What we've done from Seychelles, we've put all the information from the flight plan. That includes the route, the performance that we worked out for the takeoff, as strategy is showing, and actually now through the MCP, the FMC is controlling all performance. That includes speed, cruising, climb and descent for the flight through to Paris. But then before we get to Paris, we'll set up the arrival for whichever runway is in use. And basically that will be the main part of the operations. Any changes will be done through the FMC, though it can be done on the mode panel, but the fact that we flying in autopilot, we allow the FMC to do we do the changes through the FMC so that we get the optimum performance of the aeroplane on that flight, so that is the most economic way to operate the flight, which is the objective of the flight anyway. The thrust levers, and as you may see now, the auto throttle, which is an automatic system, is controlling all thrust through the FMC. That's the flap levers, and as you may notice, as we fly takeoffs and approaches, you see something coming off the wing, extending the camber of the wing, makes the wing a little bit bigger, and we use this for that, and that's the indicator here. And as we fly the approach, we'll select the flaps so that we can slow down and fly the aeroplane at a slower speed at the same time with the optimum lift and drag for the weight that we operate for the landing. Fuel control switches, that's the fuel control. As we start the engine, we put it in run, and it stays there until we have to shut down the engine, unless we have any malfunction that requires that we shut down the engine, then we'll cut off the fuel. These are the extinguishers, fire extinguishers, one for the auxiliary power unit and the two for the left, right and left engine. Radio panels, we've got 3 radios, and that's basically the left, and we monitor all air traffic communication on the left radio. And the center radio, basically we monitor the guards, like emergency frequencies, like we have 1215, which is the standard. And on the right hand side we do things like weather and any other communications that we need. We still have a radar, which is very important, a weather radar. So it's not on yet, it's beautiful weather we're flying. And in bad weather, we do need that radar, and we can have the display on the bottom screen on the map, so we can see on our route if there's weather that needs to be, that we don't want to fly through, then we can divert left or right and have a smoother flight. And this is the rudder control. We can trim the rudder left or right, and this is the ILS panel. So we got 3 ILSs, and we pre-tune and store, and then when it comes to fly the approach, we will select the ILS that we've tuned, coupled with the autopilot. We can either do an automatic landing or a manual landing. And basically that's a brief description of this panel. Here, interestingly, used to be the old engineer panel. So in the old days, a flight engineer would sit there controlling hydraulics, fuel, so on and so on. But now it's all done automated. So this panel is all replaced. We're controlling things like squibs, that's the extinguisher squibs. We have this panel, we can monitor through the lower ICAS all performance parameters of the engine. And these are the hydraulic controls to the shut off to the flight controls. We got left, center, right. And we have the bulk cargo here. We can control temperature for the bulk cargo. And this panel here, the engineers will use it to load the information. Actually, for the FMC, every 28 days, we need to change the database of the FMC, performance-wise. So the engineers will load through this panel here. Circuit breaker panel, use of the old fuses, and we don't actually change any of these. And should there be anything that we notice on a pre-flight or through a flight, then there are procedures to handle these things. Otherwise, on the overhead panel, the same thing, the circuit breaker panel, as I said, usually it's all to do with maintenance, still with the pilots, but should we see anything like a fuse, circuit breaker will come out in flight, there will be a procedure how to deal with it, and if it's on the ground, we will consult an engineer and get it sorted out. And basically, that concludes the quick brief and the instruments and equipment of on this aeroplane. And I feel quite comfortable. As I told you, I've just done the 737 training, which Seychelles just acquired, and it's one of the new generation aeroplane. And because I've flown the 737, I can tell you the difference between the FE system on the 76, which is 20 years old technology basically, and the new generation aeroplane that's coming out with a nice FEs just like the 777, 747-400 or the 767-400. So basically that's it. I hope whoever watched this quick brief will learn something or appreciate whatever instruction they've had. Thank you very much.
Captain Wright calling Gallagher.
This is Charlie Tango Mike 2772 calling. Jeddah Qatar 2772.
Qatar 2772, understood. Go ahead.
We still have no contact on 119 decimal 1. We have check central point at 1033 and estimating deadly point at 1103.
Qatar 27.
northern of the US. So that's coming out of the team. This is Egypt. It's part of Egypt.
Cairo 1168 maintaining 090.
Barakatuh Barakatuh 1168, radar contact maintain 5790.
57 level 330.
Confirm Superior 8757.
Charlie Superior 8757 level 330.
Afternoon to you, radar contact next call 4010.
Call 40 Superior 8757.
Tianfeng Bravo Golf Mike, you're heading now. Golf.
I think 310
Information, go ahead. One Cairo 166. 66, information. Cairo Victor 737. Information Victor 737, approaching Lambda, calling to Kia 115.1 Mantra. Order 31, Negative. Order 131, Cairo 757. Go ahead. Elvis for Metro, Tokaj. Negative. See him.
Information Victor time 1030, runway 05 right landing takeoff, 05 left takeoff.
They will know FMC will project this FMC profile when you run to touchdown. That is over.
Inform us when returning on mission contact. You have received departure information data. Once reaching airport, departure information.
Roma, buongiorno, Italia 821, flight level 320 maintaining.
very foggy, lot of crosswind. Landing. This
Bonjour, Evelyn, 6500, level 3, center, on poste pour GDA.
Degrees Celsius. Due to rather favourable winds, we're actually landing approximately 25 minutes ahead of schedule. We now estimate landing in Paris at 5 o'clock. I certainly hope you had a pleasant flight with us. Above all, I certainly hope you enjoy your stay in the Seychelles. Thanks for choosing to fly this Seychelles Airlines joint venture flight.
For stop descent at level 200. Welcome to 577 for stop at Kingston at flight level 200. Sending by for further descent due to turbulence.
Lufthansa 577 for descent level 70, radius 220 knots.
577 for flight level 70, reducing 22.
Seychelles 8, bonjour, descent 3000 feet, QNH 1010, vectors 26 left.
3000 feet, 1010, vector 26 left, Seychelles 8. 1010, 3000,
Go check.
Senior 4000, contactez la tour 129, au revoir. Voilà.
133, 173, 213 set left. 1010 descending 6,500 feet now. Check. Give me an extent line of the Charlie India 26 left, please. Good work. That's Colombia on the left.
Colombia?
Yeah, that's like a night aircraft airfield. Where they go and
Seychelles 8, turn left, heading 300, clear the Alice approach 26 left.
That's 300, clear Alice approach 26 left, Seychelles.
cleared for the approach. Go to ILS approach on the other side, please. Thank you. Check.
Bonjour, 59-65, guidage 26 gauche. Guidage à 26 gauche. Seychelles 8, you may reduce speed and keep 160 knots minimum until 4 DME.
160 until 4, was it?
160 until 4, Lily.
And for information, you're number 1.
Thank you.
160 until 4 miles. No problem.
Seychelles 8, bonjour, number 1, clear to land 26 left, wind 170 degrees, 10 knots.
Okay, wind from the left. Exactly 90 degree crosswind. 10 knots.
France 23-18, contacté De Gaulle départ 131-12, au revoir.
Au départ 131-22, Air France 23-18, au revoir.
131 décimal 2.
131-2, Air France 23-18.
Au revoir. Jusqu'à 4000, traversez la piste 26 droite de l'autre côté, contactez 121-8.
Traverse 26 droite et de l'autre côté 121-8, TZ 4000, au revoir.
I'm steady.
Air France 1936, contactez le départ 133-37, au revoir. 33-37, 1936, au revoir.
Landing checks. Down. 30.
Checks on the line was staying off on the left. I'll give you
Add a few more. Yeah, that's it.
You need an increasement of rate.
Yes.
Pass on.
Armor check.
One speed, 800 down, 19 knots from the left, trend decreasing crosswind.
Thank you.
One
100, 50, 30,
Seychelles 8, keep on taxiing, cross runway 26 right via Sierra 3, after crossing, contact 1218.
Cross 26 right, Sierra 3, after crossing 118.
Lufthansa 4223, bonjour, Whiskey 10, line up 26 right and wait.
Via Whiskey 10, line up. Ground, good afternoon from Saturn 5046, Echo 92, ready for pushback.
This City 5046, push is approved.
Push approved, Saturn 5046, thanks.
You go down, bonsoir Italia, Trio Uniform, Golf Echo 2.
Bonjour, état 30 uniforme, taxi to runway 26 right.
Continue taxi, runway 26 right, 30 Uniform.
Tabs as being demonstrated by the cabin crew. It can be topped up by using the mouthpieces. The light bulb illuminates automatically in the water and there is a whistle for attracting attention. Do not inflate your life jacket until outside the aircraft. Life jackets are also available for young children. Ladies and gentlemen, in final preparation for takeoff, please ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. The back of your seat is in the upright position, the armrest down and the tray table as well as the footrest stowed.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, Captain speaking. Update you on our progress. We're now well under 150 miles behind us. Just crossed over the English Channel. Shortly, the lights of Paris will be visible through the clouds on the left-hand side of the aircraft. In the next couple of minutes, our route of flight this evening takes us
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Seychelles. The local time is 25 minutes past 10 in the morning and the outside temperature is 29 degrees Celsius. Please keep your seatbelts fastened until the sign has been switched off, and please remain seated until the aircraft has been cleared by the health authorities. Before you leave the aircraft, please ensure that you take all your personal belongings from the overhead luggage bins and from the seat pockets in front of you. Passengers holding onward reservations or a return ticket must reconfirm their bookings at least 72 hours before their departure. Passengers having connections to Praslin or other islands, would you please first clear the immigration and customs controls before proceeding to the domestic terminal. Should you require any further assistance or information, our ground staff meeting the aircraft will be pleased to help you. On behalf of Air Seychelles, Captain Colley and the crew, it was a pleasure having you on board, and we look forward to seeing you again on Air Seychelles. Goodbye, thank you.
Okay, I'm introducing to you a walk round for Seychelles Boeing 737-700 aircraft. Captain does the walk around, first flight of the day, and I'll take you through a bit of a rough idea what we're looking for in the general walk around. First thing I look for, believe it or not, is probably the most important panel on the aircraft, and that's the static ports, to make sure they are clear and free of obstacles so we don't have any effect on our instrumentation. We have several static ports. We have an alternate static port here. We ensure this is clear, no obstacles and no debris over it. And above we have the captain's and first officer's static ports for instruments as well, looking for any obstacles to make sure they're clear. Then I move forward to the aircraft and have a look underneath. We look underneath the aircraft for any signs of obvious damage, and the undercarriage, tyre wear, any obvious markings that may give us a way of an out of balance tyre, and rubbing. I usually move forward. We check overhead for the temperature air probe, this one on the small one here, and then we have the captain's pitot and the angle of attack vane on the front of the aircraft. Come round the front, check the forward electronics hatch, closed, and we'll have a look in the wheel well. Check for any obvious damage or anything moving. The pin here is installed to allow us to pressurise the hydraulic system without pressurising the nose steering system, so that on the pushback the tugs can move the aircraft around without causing any damage to the steering system. When they remove that pin, it arms the steering for the hydraulics for the nose wheel steering. On the starboard side, the same again, we look up for first officer's pitot tube, air intake for airspeed instruments, and the alternate pitot tube and the angle of attack plane. This panel open here is for the ground crew to communicate with the cockpit prior to engine start and during engine start procedures. We'll move along the aircraft. To the front we have the starboard alternate static port, again looking for a clearance there, and again above the first officer and captain's alternate and static ports as well. Underneath we have a discharge button here to indicate if there's been an overpressure situation occurring on the cruise oxygen system that's used in emergencies. If that green disc is missing, it means it's an overpressure and the system is unserviceable. And then move back towards the muscles of the aircraft. These are the muscles that give us the horsepower. These are the new generation CFM 56-7 engines. These particular engines on this aircraft have been rated to 22,400 pounds of thrust and are very incredible, reliable and fuel efficient engines compared to the earlier 737. We usually have a look through the system, through the engine, through the vanes, just to look for any possible damage or any obstacles that have been lodged in there. And then move around, giving a visual inspection, looking for any obvious damage or access doors. You'll hear it get very noisy now because we're moving in the area of the air conditioning packs. On the 700 and the 800 new generation, both air conditioning packs are operated on the ground to keep the aircraft comfortable and cool inside and to provide air systems. I'll just move to the undercarriage. It's very hard down here, yeah. So I just, probably a visual. The reason I go inside there is to look for any obvious hydraulic leaks. Look around the rear of the engine, look for any oil leaks or any obvious damage. Pretty clear on the aircraft on this one. At the moment the aircraft is being refueled at the same time as all the services are being carried out on the aircraft. We inspect the wing for any obvious damage, trailing edges, leading edge, and the wingtip in case someone has decided to modify our wing structure. On this aircraft, the new 737 has a completely new wing. It's much higher flying, cleaner, carries more fuel and more efficient. Very much similar to a modern version of a 757 wing. On the back here, you'll see the leading edges. We look for trailing edges of flaps, ailerons, spoilers. These big things under the wing are what they call the flap boats. They actually house the flap extension jacks to put the flap system out. Down the rear of the aircraft, rear cargo hold, rear hatch screen service. We have the pressurisation outflow valve here. This is the valve that controls the whole pressurisation of the aircraft. It opens and closes scheduled to the system to adjust the cabin pressure. Tailplane, we have the intake here on the right hand side for the auxiliary power unit. That's a small jet engine in the rear that provides electricity for the aircraft and also pneumatic air for starting the engines and pressurising the air pneumatic system. Much bigger tailplane and more efficiently designed than the earlier 737, and the rear is a much better APU that can provide power all the way to a certified ceiling of 41,000 feet. A look at the aircraft. We look for any obvious damage, any fatigue possibility or skin damage anywhere. It's very noisy around here, so I'll protect my ears for a few minutes. We at Air Seychelles board and displane passengers by both forward and rear doors for speed loading and unloading of passengers. It also helps us for servicing. Rear the aircraft, we have toilets and water system servicing panel. On this aircraft, all the systems are vacuum toilet systems and they're all serviced from the one point in the rear. Along the back of the aircraft, we have antennas, APU shrouds, some antennas under here. This is VHF antenna and a lot of others. Again, the undercarriage, look for damage to wheels, any obvious cuts or abrasions that may cause us a problem. The brakes at the moment, we've got wear indicator pins here. We look for these to make sure we have enough extension. That gives us an indication of the wear on the brake pads on here. When these pins have moved almost to flush, it's time to change the brake pads. On this aircraft we have steel brakes which are very, very efficient and we get good wear out of them. Basically the same as the right-hand side of the aircraft. We look for any obvious damage through the undercarriage, the engines and the wings just the same. On the leading edge of these aircraft, on the engines here, they're heated for icing to prevent icing and de-icing. The whole centre is heated from bleed air, very hot bleed air supplied by the engine's bleed system, which is basically an air supply that's taken off from the 5th and combined with the 9th stage of the intake, the compressor section, to provide the hot air required to heat the sections. Along the front of the leading edge of the wing, you'll see we have 4 slat sections on this aircraft. On the earlier generation they only had 3. They are also heated from bleed air when needed for anti-icing. The holes you see underneath the slats are actually to let the air out and assist with the airflow of the wing. Having done all that, we now move inside the aircraft and start our pre-takeoff checks. Before I've come to the aircraft, the first officer and I have already done the flight planning. We've checked the weather, no TAMs for any information about unserviceabilities of aircraft, airport systems and runways, etc. Checked the weather and we've determined our fuel figure required, checked the flight plan. We're now at the stage of setting the aircraft ready for departure. On this particular flight today, we are flying from Seychelles to Mauritius. We've got good weather. The weather in Mauritius, they are forecasting a few large towering CBs, normal for this time of year. The flight time will be 2 hours and 15 minutes in the air and we have a fuel requirement for this sector of 8 tonnes. It's what we're operating in a sector we call ETOPS, which is extended twin operations for new generation aircraft to allow us to fly distances greater than the one engine single still air speed that would normally be restricted to normal aircraft operations, which gives us a greater range to operate away from suitable airports than would normally be the case, and it gives more efficiency to the airline to be able to use the 2-engine aircraft. This one, being the latest generation 737-100, is an extremely efficient aircraft. Now I'll move inside.
Okay, just confirm all doors are closed, the handles are stowed nice and flush, and you're clear around the aircraft, nose wheel steering lockout pins installed, and you're clear ready for pushback.
Okay, but cargo door closed.
The right base, stand up with 3-1,
ready for pushback.
Okay, yeah, we're clear to push, park brake released, off the blocks at 4-7. And we'll be taking off on runway 31.
Pressure running? Let's check. And the 55 is calling. Abby?
Roger.
Righto.
3201, 3 knots.
Rolling below the line.
Start switching on and just one on.
Stable. Right. Thrust set.
Yeah.
Your steering.
I have.
80 knots.
Checked.
E1. Rotate. Off your right gear.
And one motor.
Cabin pressurizing.
After takeoff, Jeff.
Ignition pressurization. Set.
Transition.
Transition. 01. Set any time. 4,000.
If further right turn towards south and give me direct to reverse.
Station approach helicopter Whiskey Oscar, good morning.
Start switches, I'll leave them on when it's out of the way. Landing is up.
Whiskey Oscar approach, good morning, go ahead. Kyoto Whiskey Oscar is on Providence. Request for positioning to the domestic, quick turnaround to Ladik, Vancouver. 2 crews on board. Whiskey Oscar posting approved, report on the ground, flight level 3900. And tracking direct reverse at 0534. Which is Seychelles 55, Seychelles control, good morning, report position reverse, maintaining flight level 390. Report reverse 390, Seychelles 55.
Still there though.
Right, shouldn't be too bad where we're heading now.
Go a bit further to the left.
Yeah.
Take about 164. Heading select. There you go. Heading select. And then around to the right on the other side.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go for the clear spot over there now. I'll just take this. Okay. Autopilot. Better off. On that side there.
Just squared, yeah.
That's our ETOPS entry boundary point, 400 nautical miles. That's the single engine still air distance on the 737 we've chosen for our operation. At that point, once we go beyond that arc, we're more than 1 minute's flying time on one engine at normal max cruise power setting. This is our ETOPS zone in here where we're beyond 1 hour normal flying time. This point here is our ETP time point. In other words, if we have a problem with the aircraft before this point, we shall return to Seychelles.
beyond that point, we don't have the fuel to return, but we will be continuing up to Mauritius. A little bit, yeah. Open it up to about 8 miles, and then it should be good. We can do the approach with Seychelles. Okay. So we can get it. So it's, here we go, it's near 50. Near the ice, not required. Air conditioning, pressurization. Set. Altimeters and instruments. Okay, to the altitude.
Seychelles 55, make the approach and we left 9,500.
Taking with 1,500 feet.
Okay, Seychelles 55.
Wow. Huh? Yeah, the outflow valve. Yeah.
Come in secure for landing.
Thank you, George. Here should be 180. You can take up road outside, please. Heading down. Horsepower's alive. All on captain. Check. 557. We maintain 4,000. Actually, we can go to 32, don't we? Once you cross in the company at 10, you can descend to 32. And in your company...
Morning, Gold. Good morning, sir. We stand number 7. We copy information. Hotel. Requesting flight to Gilo, level 140. 220, stand by.
Let's take the gear down. About 50. Landing checklist. 2 flaps.
Just 55, wind check.
40 degrees, 7 knots.
Down pressures 220, cruise taxi.
220, taxi for Lake 1 Bravo.
All point Bravo, pressures 220.
Well, expecting that. Yep. So back now. Towards the same spot.
220, request ATC.
220,
100.
Send him on.
50. 30. 20. 10.
220 is 10 to Kilo, number 140 after departure turn right.
Pressure 220 is clear, close on, Sheila Bus, level 140 after departure 14, turn right.
220, right back correct, line up, runway 14.
Line up, pressures 220.
Seychelles 55, make 180 metric, Charlie to bay number 8.
Seychelles 55, near the back track and gate 8.
Right, I have control, sir. Hey, nice one.
noodles.
Yeah. Before the doors? Slam the doors. Maybe slam the doors.
Seychelles 5-4, ready to copy ATC. Seychelles 5-4, clear plaisance to Seychelles via Utiva. To climb and maintain flight level 370, after departure turn left.
Roger, we are cleared from Plaisance to Seychelles via Utiva. Climb maintain 370, depart 14 turn left. Request point 4107.
Seychelles 5-4, roger, stand by for flight level 410.
That's on the plan.
Right here, left here. See?
Rolling this far.
N1 heading south, Toga.
So trust?
See? Front set. 80 knots, throttle hold. V1 rotate.
You're up.
Positive brake. Thousand feet. Seychelles 54 through flight level 70, climbing 410.
Report Utiva, active contact established with Mauritius information on 8879.
Seychelles 54.
There for a minute and then they mess it up. There we go. Voila. You can engage autopilot A, sir. Command mode. Come on. Okay.
3431.
Check. Yeah. And right stop it all.
Strictly to land, the wind is 30 at 1 2 knots.
Land 31, 75. Right stop capture, not running 21.
Seychelles 462, taxiway Alpha, allowing another Boeing 737 able to back it up by taxi Bravo.
Pilots coming in.
Yes, again, for 461 and 462. Tournament push approved, taxi well into taxiway Alpha, allowing another Boeing 737 to back it by taxiway Bravo. Okay, tournament push taxiway Alpha to allow the 737 for taxiway Bravo region 462.
And the speed brake is armored payload. Landing gear, down 3 green. Boarding at fast. Okay. Excellent speed.
Sorry, 462, can you confirm the present surface wind now? 30 at 15 now.
Lap 25, lap 25.
Okay.
25, lap 25.
Check.
Wait a minute.
Flat. Slightly left. And 5 degrees from the right. Right
And it clears the land.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Just he has a just confirm it with
And the front land is my home.
Affirm, we check 30 at 15.
30015.
Okay.
Yankee.
Confirm 11909, we are on region 180 and we are flight problems weather. Present heading is 014.
We're deviating to avoid weather.
Affirm, we are deviating east of the airway.
Go to the Solar Yankee viewer.
Roger, do you have any traffic in the area? Okay,
100.
we push back towards the Alpha position to vacate in
50.
the Bravo way out, correct?
30, 20,
Region
10.
462, Affirm, push back to taxiway Alpha. To taxi Alpha. Confirm 1199, no traffic for the moment. Boeing 737 will be getting airborne. Opposite direction to you.
Auto brake stop.
Check manual brake.
Yeah.
Oh, could have been on the soft one.
Oh, yeah. 60 knots.
News 5416 rocket taxiway Bravo for parking bay number 5.
Bravo Bay front. Seychelles. 5.
And 462, that will be okay. Unfortunately, to entry 1, the wind is 300 at 15 knots. It's land 31.
Captain Savi, could you introduce yourself as the executive chairman of the airline?
Good, my name is David Savi, and I'm 41 years old, and I'm the executive chairman of Air Seychelles, and I've been with Air Seychelles for a good part of 17 years now, initially as a pilot on the domestic network and eventually on the international network as a first officer, then a captain, then a training captain, then as general manager of flight operations before taking this office 5 years ago as chief executive officer and now executive chairman. I'm a career pilot as my profession, and I was a board director for a while before taking the position of chief executive officer with Seychelles.
Could you explain to us how the airline was created and when?
The circumstance of Seychelles being created as an international airline, Seychelles basically covers a number of functions. We are ground handling agents for ourselves and other airlines. We also have a domestic network, quite an extensive domestic network, as well as now an international network, which is a long haul and also regional. It obviously started as a ground handling agent for other airlines serving the Seychelles, and then also it created Air Seychelles, the domestic operation, which now has a fleet of 4 Twin Otters and 1 Islander. And then it ventured into international operations as out of a necessity, rather out of planning, when in 1983, as a result of some major airlines pulling out of the region for economic reasons, we suddenly found ourselves with insufficient capacity to the Seychelles, and Air Seychelles International was created. Initially, we used other airlines to and flew our flag on their aircraft into the Seychelles, 1 service a week, then augmented to 2 services a week. And if I recollect well, the first airline we used was British Caledonian with a weekly DC-10 service into Seychelles, where we used their aircraft and their crew, and we just had our flight number. Then it went to 2 flights. We used Martinair, and eventually we wet leased an Airbus 300 from Air France painted in our colors to do 3 services a week into the Seychelles. And later on we purchased 2 Boeing 707s and in our colors with our crew, which in 1989 we then disposed of those 2 aircraft and got a 767-200ER as the backbone of our international fleet. And subsequently this grew to a 757, which we gave back, and then took a 767-300. And as it stands today, we now have 2 Boeing 767-300ERs and 1 Boeing 737-700 for regional operations as our international core fleet.
You've explained to us that you have a Boeing 2 Boeing 767-300, and it operates on the airline's long-haul network to Europe and Asia. Could you explain the maximum use of these 2 aircraft?
The 2 767-300s are fairly recent aircraft, and one is 5 years old and one is only 8 months old. And those are used predominantly on our European services. We operate 10 services a week to Europe and 1 service a week to Singapore with the 767s. And the 767s are configured in a 2-class configuration with 24 in business class, or what we call our Pearl class. And we have 222 seats in economy. And those aircraft are flown on average about 15 hours a day each, which is quite high utilization for 76s. But we are lucky in a way that we are positioned vis-a-vis Europe, that we can do a full rotation to Europe and back within a 24-hour period, normally night southbound and daylight northbound. Thus we are able to get good utilization out of our aircraft. That's the long-haul Air Seychelles fleet. For last year, we took delivery of a 737-700 new generation in December, so the aircraft is only 2 months old. For our regional services, we have now quite an extensive network in the Indian Ocean, and we serve most countries in that region, being the Maldives, India, Mumbai, Dubai, Mauritius, the Comores, Mayotte, and Moroni, and South Africa. plus we have code share arrangements with other airlines such as Reunion with Aerostral, which means Air Seychelles is extremely well covers the Indian Ocean well, and also the European network. Now, to complement that, obviously, is we have our domestic fleet of 4 Twin Otters and an Islander, and we do up to 40 services a day with the domestic fleet. Our sectors are extremely short, conversely to that of the international long-haul sectors. Our average sector length is of only 12 minutes, and that's to the backbone island of Prague.
Finally, what are your plans in terms of network and fleet for the future?
Obviously, since the effect of September last year, 11th last year, is every airline has had to relook at the strategy and the plans it's had for future development. And we are doing that, and we have done that. Our objective was to have one of the youngest fleets in the region, in the African region, especially in the Indian Ocean region, and to serve as many points in the Indian Ocean to become an Indian Ocean airline. That has been done. We have now got one of the youngest fleets in the world with our international fleet. The average age is only 18 months. So we've completed that. Obviously, we would have liked to have grown and maybe brought in a second 737-700 to complement our regional routes when the growth would happen. So given the setback we've had, like all other airlines, is we have to be cautious and to adapt capacity to demand. At the moment, we're looking at a consolidation phase, and we must consolidate and look at further growth after the market rebounds, after the unfortunate events of September 11th of last year. We are very fortunate that we were able to do our fleet modernization before the effects and the recession, and that stands us in good light, in that we give a first-class product, a new product to our customer, and we also offer quite an extensive network to our customers, especially our European customers coming to the Indian Ocean. And we are now consolidating our service delivery in, as I mentioned before, trying to match our service and the way we deliver our service to the expectations of our customer, which we have defined through customer surveys and through talking on a one-to-one basis with a wide network of our internal and external customers.
Thank you.
coming to and anticipate for further.
All right, just ensuring that the just ensuring that the propeller hasn't got any damage on it. And the wing surface, the leading edge of the wing, a bit of damage. Ensuring that our wing fences are clean, our slats and flaps are not deployed. They're hydraulically actuated, so we ensure that there are no leaks. And then the nuts and bolts are all secure. Down. Show our brakes in one piece. Our tires, our correct tire pressure. And then back to our emergency exit, we ensure that it's closed. And then we'll walk past. Our tailplane looks fine. Good. That's our rudder. Looks good. Ensuring our cargo door is shut. Main door is locked, and the left wing as we did before.
bye bye. Merci, au revoir.
sirène au-dessus de votre tête. En cas de dépréciation de la cabine, des masques identiques à ceux démontrés tomberont automatiquement devant vous. Tirez le masque vers votre visage, appliquez-le sur votre nez et votre bouche et continuez à respirer normalement. Your life jacket is stowed under your seat. Please watch the cabin crew as they put the life jacket over the head and take hold of the tip, which is clipped in front and tightened. To inflate the life jacket, pull the two red tabs as being demonstrated by the cabin crew. It can be topped up by using the mouthpieces. The light bulb illuminates automatically in the water, and there is a whistle for attracting attention. Do not inflate your life jacket until outside the aircraft. Life jackets are also available for you.
ready to start number 1. Down on number. Starting 1.
Ready? Starting 1, timing.
Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set. Check. Thrust hold. T1, rotate. Grab. I'm off ATC, regular with Tana.
Copy, no reported traffic 260 Seychelles 53. Cell call check, okay for Seychelles 53.
Seychelles 53, Dana. Report region level 260, contact established in Morani.
Let's copy, we'll report 260, contact in Morani, Seychelles 53.
That's on place, Mach 2. So we're pushing forward.
Seychelles, request already on Seychelles 53, just confirm that Alpha Lima is on the 167 radio Moroni at 2,000 feet and is holding vertically in 40 USS.
Here we are in terrain mode at the enhanced GPWAs, and what we've got here are the terrain profiles. So
with the colors, we can guess the height of the terrains. And here we can see that we've got a mountain, which is this one, and the volcano, the Katana, which is about a height of 8,000 feet. That's right. Landing.
One 100, 50, 30, 20, 10.
Number doors?
From Dar es Salaam to Reunion, it's meeting overhead Maroni at 1204, maintaining 190. At initially 170, after takeoff, runway heading round and north for your set course.
Initially 170. Is it?
It's 5 north and set course.
Copy, we are 40 born and fuel endurance is 5 hours.
Last in 40 Elstra.
Region 221, leaving 180 on 10,000 feet.
Reunion 221, Maroni, current approaching level 100.
So you're back approaching 100, Reunion.
Like 360.
Heading set.
That one, front one.
Then one. Then one. That is up. That's window.
Your level is 170. You mentioned you climb at 170 due to traffic. Saint-Zal 190. I confirm you maintain your climb at 170.
Roger, to level 170, Seychelles 52.
Could you confirm your distance from Moroni? I confirm airborne 751. I confirm your distance from Moroni.
Okay, we on 7 miles at the moment, passing 70.
7 miles 70 via the north.
That's a firm.
Jacobic.
Look down 1199, this is Seychelles 52 or 1269.
Seychelles 52, Dodi, good afternoon, go ahead.
Okay, Seychelles 52, we are now maintaining level 250, inbound to South Sea from Moroni, and we are estimating South Sea this time at 1228.
Roger, wind 250, ticket 6 knots.
Establish 177. 61. Retarded to be speed.
8 PM you will be for.
Check base chart.
We set mine on 332 something. Once you start a turn, you do the same. 7.5, 7.6, 8 AM, 332.
8 AM. You are in the same course now?
No. Right? Until we go vision.
Okay.
We do about 6 miles.
Wait.
Okay, or 7 miles. Sitting there happy.
Yep.
Landing back happy. On the line at all. The VRD.
Yeah, I'm only sure 7.
Get Alpha 15.
Down.
Landing checks now.
Dodi, le quota 2688 pour débuter la descente. Approach, visual. Seychelles 52 Dodi, Roger, wind 260, take 7 knots.
Copy, Joey, thank you, and landing 34 Seychelles.
That's 40. 40. flaps.
On the puppies are on. Seychelles 52 Nordy, again. Yeah, puppies on 34. Right, okay. Thank you.
We set the -5. Correct. Right and correct.
One 100, 50, 30, 20, 10.
76 d'Audi, vent 260 degrés 7 nœuds. Santé 25, point de rosée 24, QNH 1010, avant. 1010, j'ai bien copié, rayon de 26, rappel, la première mise en route. Bonsoir. Station appelante d'Audi. Oui, c'est le comptable 1199. Bonsoir monsieur. Nous sommes à Transal de Dar es Salaam vers La Réunion. Nous sommes au niveau 190. Nous estimons Saoudi à 12h40 dans 10 minutes. Soavi 12h58. Pick-up ensuite. Et nous sommes en contact avec Tana. Comptable 1199 Saoudi, bien reçu. Par ailleurs, est-ce que vous avez eu des informations concernant la météo à Saoudi ou vers l'est? À Saoudi, on a actuellement vent 270 degrés 6 nœuds, visée 10 km. Nuage 1 à 2 octave 1500 pieds avec Charlie Bravo, secteur sud-sud-ouest et sud-sud-est. Montserrat à 1800 pieds avec cumulus congestus. Tempête 25.
seatbelt fastened wherever you are seated. Sleeping on the floor is not permitted at any time. We would like to remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is strictly forbidden in the passenger cabin and in the toilets. Wish to inform you that interference with any safety devices on the aircraft is an offence under law and is liable to prosecution. There is a reading light switch and a call button in the panels above your head. The controls for the entertainment systems can be found in the armrest of your seat. Thank you. Les lecteurs de la lampe de lecture et le boulon d'appel sont situés dans les panneaux de votre tête. Le sélecteur de votre écouteur, le contrôle de volume, se trouve dans la couloir de votre siège. Le bain sera ouvert de quelques minutes et un snack vous sera servi au bout du vol. Nous vous remercions. Ladies and gentlemen, very shortly the cabin crew will be coming through the cabin to distribute landing cards for the Seychelles. Thank you. Mesdames et messieurs, de quelques instants, les membres de l'équipage vont passer parmi vous pour distribuer des fiches de police pour les Seychelles. Merci. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Seychelles International Airport. The local time is 5 minutes past 8 in the evening and the outside temperature is 28 degrees centigrade. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until the sign has been switched off and remain seated until the aircraft has been cleared by the health authorities.